This week on the Virtual Skeptics. Bob senses a dark presence. Eve is puzzled by percentages. Barb is tempting the cancer gods by eating pepperoni. Tim's AWOL again, and I'm your host, Brian Gregory. Awkward pause. This is the Virtual Skeptics. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Brian. Bob actually learned to play our theme live.
That would be cool. Can you do that, Bob? Can you do it now? Can you do it now?
I can't. No, I had
not right now.
My has to get warmed up, and it's a whole big deal.
In case anybody doesn't know, we were having this huge conversation before we came on the air here. One about beard oil, and two about various guitars. Mm-hmm. So maybe when we do our live show next year,
guys showing off is what it was.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it was. Yeah.
That's very sexist for you to say.
Yes.
Because I use the word
beard oil on his instrument.
So this is the Virtual Skeptics. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. Let me introduce the crew. First off, we got Bob Laskowitz, CSI's conspiracy guy, web columnist, blogger at Skeptical Humanities, and Skepticality contributor. Next up, we have Eve Siebert, editor and blogger at Skeptical Humanities, and contributor to Skepticality and Insight at skeptic.com. And finally, Barb Drescher, former psychology instructor, blogger at ICBS Everywhere, and contributor to numerous skeptical projects, including Insight at without an S at skeptic.com. I totally screwed that up. And Odds Must Be Crazy. The Odds Must Be Crazy. All kinds of stuff. Hi, guys.
Hi, Brian.
Again. Do we want to continue the conversation with beard oil? I don't think so.
Someone mentioned a live show. What is that?
What?
Someone mentioned a live show.
Live show.
We're live right now.
Okay.
No, this is just us hanging out, because doing stuff.
Because that's what we do.
Yeah. Okay. You guys want to talk about something?
Okay.
Nah, okay.
Where's Tim?
Sure, okay. Tim?
Because you guys never show up together anymore.
Yeah.
Yes.
You go through periods when we never see you together and have to suspect that you're the same person.
Well, we're not the same person, but we do share the same internet space for some reason. No. Okay, so let's do the show stuff like this. We have a trivia question every week. We post it out on the air tubes, and you can answer it. And the various ways you can answer it, if you want to participate in the show, if you're watching and you're not one of these weirdos on the Square internet thing, you can tweet with hashtag Virtual Skeptics, you can comment on the YouTube channel, and you can use the Q&A app, which I'm starting now. If you want to ask a specific question, because the Q&A app is for questions, so we can tag them in the video when we answer the questions, because we like to answer the questions.
Just make sure your question's a question.
You have to ask your questions in a foreign accent.
He's channeling Oliver Sacks.
I don't know. So there you go. A trivia question this week, which was given to us by Tim. Hi, Pierre. Because he knew he wasn't going to be here because he's got more important things to do than give us okay, fine. 40 years ago today, on November 5th, 1975. Actually, that's tomorrow. 1975. Tomorrow, a long time ago. The question is worded funny. Let me read it again. 40 years ago, tomorrow, November 5th, 1975, was the date of the alleged alien abduction of what person? So, someone was abducted, apparently abducted tomorrow in 1975.
One person it can be, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Who? So you know the answer?
I think I may know this one too.
Well, it would help that because we have the notes and it's in the notes. But if you're out there on the internet and you know this, tweet it or post it on YouTube, and we will give you credit for being awesome.
And we already have a compliment on Brian's beard.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Who Who's first? Oh, Bob is first. Bob is going to talk about.
God only knows. Yeah, dark, horrible things. I had a hard time. I really did have a hard time coming up with a topic this week. There was not a lot that caught my interest. I was going to do the bacon thing, but then I saw, that there may be someone else more qualified to talk about.
Wait. What bacon thing?
You'll find out.
Yeah. And then I was thinking, I was going to fold that into a larger thing about horribly misleading headlines that make me sad, so that or headlines that may be technically true, but will be, that are somehow misleading. So the one about how the Antarctic is gaining ice, in a superficial, meaningless way, it's true, but that's not how it's going to be used in the debate over climate change, and that's frustrating because whoever wrote that headline knows that that's what's going to happen, or doesn't care, one or the other. So
or not one or the other, could be both.
Yeah, it's true, right? So so I had to kind of scramble for something, and I ended up with an exorcism. Not me personally. But this week the world trembled in horror as Chip Coffey was given the opportunity to do live television. This time it was an exorcism at the house where the kid who was the basis of the novel and film The Exorcist, known as Roland Doe, lived at the time he was being investigated and found to possibly not be possessed by demons. If you missed it, you missed nothing, is what I'm given to understand. Are you guys hitting an echo?
Little bit.
Yes. I thought you were just being dramatic.
Huh?
I thought you were just being dramatic.
No. Okay. Damn.
It works.
All right. Sorry. Okay. So yeah. So as I looked into
could be the devil.
That's probably it. As I looked into the kind of the press that led up to the show, it turns out that the St. Louis Archdiocese took the 2-bit con artist Chip Coffey and a gaggle of numpties called the Tennessee Wraith Chasers. They're freaking Wraith Chasers. Okay. They took them seriously and released a statement saying in part, given the public...
Gaggle of numpties.
Yes. Yeah. Given the public nature of this event, this Archdiocese of St. Louis, which is not involved in this dangerous endeavor, deems it necessary to educate and warn the public about the dangers in participating in such activities. No exorcism can take place without the authority of the local Roman Catholic ordinary. I don't know what an ordinary is. The Auxiliary Bishop Emeritus Robert Herman, Most Reverend Robert J. Carlson, Archbishop of St. Louis, has not granted the necessary permissions, known as faculties, to any priests or bishops for the purpose of this televised event.
Bishops?
Huh?
Bishops?
Did I say bishops?
I thought so.
Okay, bishops for the purpose of this televised event. Anyone involved in this production who claims to be a member of the Catholic clergy, the Catholic. I'm speaking
Catholic bishops.
Yeah.
The Catholic
I'm
bishop.
sorry. I didn't want to laugh.
Craptic.
Not okay. So they're not. If anybody who says that they're a member of the Catholic clergy.
It's supposed to happen until like
yes,
half an hour into the show at least.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I started drinking early tonight, so.
Thanks.
No one associated with the Archdiocese of St. Louis. None of them are operating under the authority of the Vatican. Any purported exorcism by spiritualists, paranormal investigators, mediums, or non-Catholic clerics for the purposes of entertainment trivializes this ancient rite of the Roman Catholic Church and the very real danger of evil. Any attempt to...
Don't
I know.
trivialize the church.
Yeah, I know.
Right,
you know what's dangerous? Fucking priests with children. All right, so any attempt to use the
priests
solemn...
fucking with children.
Well, there's that.
Yes.
So any attempt to use the solemn rite of
it's
exorcism
just
as
a bad
entertainment exposes all participants to the danger of future hidden satanic attack. We cannot play with Satan and expect to win.
Well, honestly, I think it's inevitable that they did make a statement. because it's on their patch, and because they had what do they call it? Old Catholic priest.
Yeah, that might confuse people about who they were affiliated with.
Yeah.
So.
And because they did the original exorcism.
Right. This is their territory. So I would like to point out that actually they did capture an evil presence in the house on film. It was Chip Coffey. Nonetheless, it reminded me of a document a mile and a half away. Sorry. It reminded me of a document that I came across during work because I have an awesome job. It was a statement that came out of Oklahoma City about a year ago. They were reacting to the archdiocese there was reacting to a black mass that was performed at a public venue. It turns out a sect of devil worshippers, the Dogma of Angra Mainyu, exorcised the Holy Spirit from one of their members, which is different. And then the next day, the archdiocese showed up and exorcised the Civic Center. In a statement, the archbishop said, "From the beginning, we've taken seriously the dark and dangerous spirits being invited into our community. We anticipated this would be a concern for those visiting the Civic Center, and we've received many questions about the safety of the building following the satanic ritual. To address these concerns, we visited the next morning to pray prayers of exorcism over the place and pray the prayers for cleansing." I imagine that they were also waving sage, burning sage or whatever. Who knows?
Waving, burning, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. So where are all these cast out demons going? Well, according to the Archdiocese of Manila's Office of Exorcism, which is a thing, yeah, they're going to the Philippines. This summer, the head of that office, the number of exorcisms had gone up dramatically in the last decade. In fact, just this week, the Archdiocese there appealed for help with handling all of the demons, which gave me an opportunity to ship Chip Coffey overseas. What do you think?
A great idea.
I think beautification.
Ship him away.
That could be considered an act of war, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Only if they know.
So yeah, he's.
Was it an act of war when we threatened to send Justin Bieber back?
Yeah.
But it's Canada. They're nice. They wouldn't attack us for that.
Canada was asking for it when they let him sneak into Atlanta.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Not
the same issue. Sorry.
If you ever want to really disappoint students, show them the footage of an exorcism. It is so dull and goofy and transparently wrong. You just show them YouTube videos of exorcism. They get all freaked out, like, I don't want to watch it. And like, oh, really? That's it? You're like, yeah.
Yeah, all the good stuff is
What happens if you add tubular bells?
You get slapped with a gigantic fine for violating copyright.
That's true.
By Richard Branson, who owns the copyright to that. That was the first thing that he bought. His first property that he bought was Tubular Bells, the rights to that.
That is
I used to have it as a
piece of obscure trivia that's just freaking me out right now.
You don't know if it's true. Shit, I don't know if it's true. But it sure sounds good.
Okay.
We call satire, people.
What kind of beard oil is he using?
Well, it's only when used in that context anyway.
What, beard oil?
No, the tubular bells.
Oh, okay.
It's only copyright infringement when used in that context.
Yeah, all the good stuff for exorcisms happens in post-production anyway, so.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. All of it, yeah.
I just, I find it's so strange that, I grew up in the Catholic Church, and this is a side of it that's never addressed in when you're growing up, it's not a part of the Catholic curriculum. But then, these adult grown men, and basically men, truly believe that the devil's dumplings can come through. It's just pathetic.
I've had devil's dumplings. They're a little bit too sweet.
You hear all about it if you happen to go to St. Louis University, though.
Well, it's my understanding that the view varies across, diocese. I mean that some are very open to the idea, and some are not. Some won't even talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, some of the priests who were involved in the or at least peripherally involved in the original exorcism of, what do they call him, Ronald.
Yeah.
Didn't think he was possessed. They
Yeah.
thought he was seriously disturbed.
Yeah, and when Eve was talking about St. Louis University, that's where we got our degrees. There is the archives there has a big file of all the pop culture stuff relating to the exorcism. That they just keeps growing, and apparently every October the local stations want to come out and see it. Local TV stations want to come out and see it, and they
sometimes have talks or something on it too.
Yeah, and Father Kavanaugh, wasn't he somehow involved? He was like a novitiate or something at the time.
Father Cleary.
Okay, yeah. So, he was not convinced, is my understanding.
Yeah, I think so. And of course, there are also all sorts of rumors about hauntings on campus related to the exorcism, even though, well, none of the exorcism took place on campus. It was St. Louis University Jesuits, but not on campus. The kid stayed for a time on
at
campus,
the rectory,
which no longer exists.
Right.
So,
or was it built into the graduate school?
No, I think
forget.
no. That's it. People
Ground
think for Hagen
flooded.
that building is
Okay.
haunted, but it can't be from the exorcism because no.
Exorcisms don't exist?
Well, because they go to the
Well,
Philippines.
exorcisms exist,
Yes, Eve, I
The
knew you were
devil
going to do
Yes,
that.
they do.
Yes.
but the building where the kid was just isn't there anymore, and I don't think there's anything there anymore.
So, yeah.
Probably some plants or some horrible sculpture.
Yeah, that's true. So the devil won. When you look at the statuary on that campus, it's clear the devil won.
Yeah.
Well, as a more important note, Gaggle of Numpties is my Flogging Molly cover band. I'm just saying.
Oh, I thought it'd be like Flock of Seagulls cover band.
Well, it could be. It could be either one. But Gaggle of Numpties.
Numpties, isn't that Australian? So it would
Okay.
have to be, like...
So it's my Men at Work cover band.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Good, that's good.
Mhm.
Yeah, so there you go. So next up. Thanks, Bob. That was... I don't know if I want to say entertaining or just depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to cheer everyone up, I'm going to talk about the robot apocalypse.
Whee!
Oh, cool. Yay.
Da-da-da. So there's this guy.
He's cute.
Oh, no. That's the next one. We'll do this one and we'll play the video because it's supposed to play the video. There you go.
like a
So
little
this is a
cooler.
UK company that actually has a practical approach to doing deliveries with robots. Now, everyone knows that all of the mail order services on the internet are going to start delivering to our house by robotic drones that fly through the air and drop our packages on the porch and zap us on the way out or kill us or something. I don't know. But the reality is that drones are not really practical. This is somewhat practical. This is a company in UK that's looking at doing deliveries on the short scale within about 2 miles with these little doodads that are essentially just locked up, like little, I don't know, Tupperware boxes on wheels that supposedly can navigate on their own and be polite to old men and travel.
But they have to be
with,
wearing the little cap.
Yeah, they have to wear, yes, and kids on bikes apparently. But it goes from wherever they're delivering from to your house, and it'll like text you, and it's there, and you can use your phone to unlock. This will show you your phone to unlock the thing, and get your apparently cheesecake. She's gonna get cheesecake out of there. It looks like cheesecake to me, and then go on its merry way. In next year, they're planning on doing some kind of trial in the UK and somewhere in America, which they haven't announced where, next year. And So it's really going to happen, at least in trials. I don't know how well this is going to work because, I mean, in the UK maybe because everyone's under surveillance 24 hours a day anyway, so they won't kick these things over and break them and open and take what's inside. But in pretty much every American city except for maybe Kennebunkport, Maine, or someplace that's obscure like that. Most cities, these things are not going to get to their destinations. They're just going to be. They're going to be mugged like the Canadian hitchhiking bot was.
Yeah.
God
The
rest its soul.
shame. Yeah, I know.
God rest its robotic soul. Well, we'll see. We'll see how well this works. Who knows? Maybe it'll have some.
Maybe in civilized countries
taser
it'll take
on
off.
Now,
when I
the
lived
company.
in Maine, Kennebunkport was the nearby big town. So, bite me.
Yeah. Oh, so you think that they will definitely succumb to the robot influence there?
Well,
Everybody will eventually succumb.
Yeah. Okay. The company says that these things are they self-navigate. They have cameras on them so they can avoid hitting things, and I'm not sure how they'll navigate American roads because there's a lot of places that
they'll look the wrong way when they try to cross the street.
I mean,
they'll get smeared.
It seems like you would have to be in an area that is pedestrian friendly. Supposedly, you can climb stairs and curbs, but I don't know how it would navigate, traffic crosswalks and stuff like that. But we'll see. We'll see how it works. The other thing is
it has a cannon. It has a cannon.
No,
do not mess with it.
Does not, as far as I know, they're not weaponized. But once they deploy them in America, they're going to have to be. But they apparently there's an operator somewhere that can intervene. So if these things encounter some kind of problem, or if someone's trying to take stuff, they can be controlled manually by an operator. And apparently there's a speaker where they can say, the operator can say something through the robot. Stop that! Don't mess with me! I'm a robot. I could kill you. But no. We'll see how well it works.
I'm just taking this anthrax down to the CDC.
Yes,
Go ahead and break into it if you dare.
Don't open me. I will unleash the 5 plagues. Oh, the 5 of them? 7? I don't know. So there you go. I'm not sure how this will kill you, but it certainly sounds like it will. This next one
looks like a faucet of some sort.
Is not a faucet. This is an experimental robot done by another UK company. Is it Bristol
3D
Robotics
printed?
Laboratory. No, it's not 3D printed. Although well, as far as I know, it's not 3D printed. There might be some 3D printed parts on it, but the big deal about this is that it runs off a microbial fuel cell. Now, a microbial fuel cell essentially it's populated with bacteria that eat stuff and produce electrons. So they work like a battery.
They fart electricity.
Something like that. I think it's more like poop electricity. But I mean, it would have to be pooping in order to be enough to actually drive a robot. Well, this thing this is aquatic, so it's called the Robot with ROW dash.
Oh.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes,
So it's a wonderfully bad pun.
No,
but
it's not.
If you
it's just bad.
Shh. The top picture is it's kind of closed up. The bottom picture, the mouth and the butt are open. Now I call it the butt, but it's got 2 orifices, and dirty water goes through it, and the bacteria chew on stuff and create power. And supposedly, in sufficiently dirty water, this thing can last forever.
So it'll take over the Midwest. You put it in Erie.
It can't possibly be a good thing. This is technology that can last forever and move around and potentially what? We don't know. We don't know what their motivations are. We don't know how nefarious their intentions are. They're not human. They can't just be blatantly assholes.
Can it?
We don't know how nefarious humans can be either.
Can it?
I'm just saying. Humans, it's obvious when you're not.
Bacteria?
Can it what?
Develop a super bacteria.
I don't think that. I mean, well, it does have a colony of bacteria that can reproduce, and therefore over time may mutate. But it doesn't actually have ability
Well,
to,
then
to
it'll just
influence
start
that.
farting again.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it may just kind of.
this is another thing that I know that they were working on at St. Louis University. They had someone who was doing bioelectric batteries, is what they were looking into.
Yeah, there's a bunch of
Demon
work that's
power.
been going. Yes, there's a bunch of
Sure.
work that's been going on for alternate fuel sources, and the idea is to have machines that can, well, do what we do, do what animals do, find our own fuel
Make
and
shitty
consume it
puns.
and make shitty puns. Yes. So, there you go. That's the update of the robots this week.
Creepy.
They will live off of dirty water indefinitely, and they will deliver your packages nefariously. I don't know. There you go.
Somehow.
Yes. And of course, Ben Bradley on Twitter is reminding us all that Diego-san is still thinking about us and making weird faces. This is an awkward pause.
It is a very awkward pause.
Diego-san. So that's the robot apocalypse this week. And who's next? Eve is next. Eve is going to talk about
Things and
statistics.
stuff. Just touch on them, yes. So last week, at least one of my skeptic / atheist now I'm doing it. Facebook
Forget it.
Posted the following meme. If you could bring up the slide.
I hate memes. I really freaking hate memes.
Yeah. Well, this comes from the Godless and Irreligious Facebook group, and it says on top, Iceland has no army. Jailed its corrupt bankers. Violent crime is rare. One of the lowest crime rates in the world. Then in larger letters in the middle, atheist majority population. Then on the bottom in smaller letters, where is all that evil and depravity the religious talk about? Now, yesterday, as I was beginning to think, maybe I'll talk about that, I found that Snopes had already put up a post on it just a few hours earlier, which is informative, and it's called Icelandish Claims, which is cute. So there are some problems with the meme beyond the lack of grammatic parallelism, which is I find disturbing.
Yeah. And behind the just bad manners and assholery.
Well, yeah. So most of the top part, most of the top part is true, if somewhat misleading. Iceland has never had a military of its own. It was occupied by the Allies in World War II, and they had an American military base for decades until quite recently. They are a founder member of NATO, so they're protected. They don't have their own army, but you screw with them, you screw with NATO. They did have a fairly massive financial disaster during the crash of 2008, and in response, they did jail 4 bankers, and they have been recovering gradually, but the recovery is exaggerated. It's frequently exaggerated, apparently, but it's booming is definitely an exaggeration. They're doing much better, but not booming. They do have a low crime rate and a very low violent crime rate, despite having a high rate of gun ownership. For instance,
they don't have any vets.
There you go.
They don't have any vets.
Yeah.
They don't have any veterans. Yeah, but I don't know how that's related. So.
I'm pretty sure they have veterinarians. They're funny little horses.
That's true.
In 2013, for instance, Icelandic police shot and killed a man who had fired at them with a shotgun. And this was described as unprecedented, literally unprecedented, that nothing like that had ever happened before in Iceland. Also, I used to read a website called Daily News from Iceland, and one crime story involved a
Oh my
pizza
God.
delivery guy who was mugged. They stole his pizza. They didn't take his money. They just took his pizza.
And they were probably stoned.
And it made the news.
Yeah, it made the news, and there were also
that would make the news here too.
yeah, but for completely different reasons.
Yes.
There are also a number of reports of traffic accidents caused by angry seabirds. So, yeah, not a lot of
Those damn
happens
seabirds, man.
surprisingly often. So yeah, not a lot of major crime to report. The big problem with the meme is the large statement in the middle, atheist majority population. As I'm sure everyone knows by now, I'm really not very good at math. So I'm going to throw this out to the more mathematically gifted.
Yes.
Is
Don't
10%
ask,
a
Bob.
majority?
Well,
'Cause I thought it wasn't.
define is.
Yeah, I know.
Are you measuring quantum particles?
Yeah.
Stop talking now. 10 or 11% of Icelanders are convinced atheists, according to a poll. They don't believe in any sort of spirit, God, or life force. And that is actually
significantly higher than here.
well, it is actually quite high.
Yeah,
Therefore,
but, I mean,
it's an enormous amount.
Yeah. Well, it does. It's high enough that it does place Iceland among, depending on lists,
Among the most hellbound countries.
among the top 10 or top 15 most atheist countries.
Probably just beaten by Eastern Europeans.
China.
Russia,
Yeah.
China.
But it's not exactly a majority. 80% of Icelanders are at least nominally Lutheran. Although
Wow, really?
technically, I think you have to officially opt out of being Lutheran. That you're Lutheran, unless
That's
you go.
huge proportion. It
is huge.
Devoted to one religion. That's a huge proportion.
It's a very small country.
Yeah.
And
Pretty
more
humble
diverse than it used to be, but so they were pagan. They converted. Everyone was pagan. They converted. Everyone was Catholic. Reformation. Pretty much everyone was Lutheran. That's sort of how it's gone.
Yeah.
But another 31% described themselves as non-religious. But that's not quite the same thing as atheist. It's also still not a majority.
Atheists love to claim the nuns. They love to claim.
Yeah. 57% describe themselves as religious. And again, if my math is correct, that is a majority. A slim majority, but a majority. And that percentage is similar to the UK and is actually higher than most other Scandinavian countries. Moreover, according to Wikipedia, the plurality and near majority of Icelanders expressed a belief in a spirit or life force rather than in God or a generalized disbelief. So the statement that the majority of Icelanders are atheist, which is really the whole point of the meme, is bullshit.
You remember when
it's just not true.
Wait. It's on the internet and it's bullshit?
Yeah, I know, it's true. On Facebook, even.
No.
And
Bob?
on top of that, remember, we're talking about a country that will halt or adjust major building projects and reroute roads to avoid disturbing known elf habitats because they believe in elves and trolls.
Yeah, that's true.
At least sort of.
Well, maybe that's why they're so happy.
Yeah. So to be fair,
that's why crime is low. They're afraid of the elves. I don't know.
That could be. Apparently, Icelanders are a little bit fed up with the media focus on their elf belief.
Yeah, well, stop believing in elves.
Well, there is that. For instance, in 2013, there were stories about a protest over a road project that was going to cut through a lava field. And all the international stories focused on elves. But for the most part, it was really a bunch of environmentalists and one crazy elf communicator lady and some of her supporters.
Elf communicator.
But to be also, this environmental concern would not have reached a large audience if it hadn't been for the elves. And also, ultimately, the elf rock did get moved out of the danger zone. So, although they did build the road over the lava field. So what ended up happening was the elves were protected.
Wait. This is the elves were moved away from where they built a road.
Yes.
To the danger zone.
Away from the danger zone. Away from the danger zone.
No. Was it a highway to the danger zone?
Yes, they built a highway to the... I'm not going to finish that.
Thank you.
Now,
all I want to know is what does it have to do with swimming? Go ahead.
Lots of Americans believe in ghosts and Bigfoot.
Say random things from now on.
Yeah.
By the way, many Icelanders also believe in ghosts. It's like one of the highest proportions, at least in Europe. But really, elves and trolls aren't that much weirder or less plausible than ghosts.
Oh, God.
I mean, in some United States, house sellers have to reveal if the home they're selling is haunted.
No, that's not exactly how it is.
In some states, it is.
That it's haunted, or that it has a reputation for being haunted?
It has a reputation for being haunted.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of...
Or somebody died in it.
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but they do have, as I said, significant belief in elves and ghosts, although to some extent it's that they choose not to disbelieve. They won't touch the elf rock in the way people won't walk under a ladder or something.
I don't believe in ladders.
Okay. BBC Earth posted a video about Iceland and its elves and trolls a couple of weeks ago, and it emphasizes how tied the legends are to the land. And the land is dangerous and spectacular, and you really should watch the video. And there's a link to it in the show notes on virtualskeptics.com, which really you should watch. Yeah. Regardless, Iceland is not quite the beacon of rational thought and free thinking that the meme makes it out to be.
After all, they live in Iceland.
Shut up. On top of that, although the explicit message is that atheists aren't all evil, there also does seem to be an implicit message that Iceland is peaceful and forward-thinking because it's atheistic. And that's daft. I mean, first of all, it's not atheistic.
But not cool like Daft Punk.
Right.
She doesn't tell you to shut up. Yes, cool like Bjork.
Yes. So...
that's questionable. As well.
When Iceland was founded, it was violent. Yes?
Yeah, well, you're going to talk about violence in Iceland's past, which is a pressing question on Twitter, apparently. But I just want to know, what does it have to do with swimming?
Shut up. When Iceland was founded, it was a violent country, as were Norway, Denmark, and Sweden. It was founded during the Viking Age. Of course, so is the rest of Europe and most of the rest of the world. The Scandinavians were violent when they were pagan. They remained pretty violent after they converted to Christianity. And they didn't suddenly become completely peaceful during the Reformation. Certainly Norway, Denmark, Sweden got involved in the occasional war. Iceland not so much because no military. Now the Scandinavian countries are comparatively peaceful and progressive and have high-ish rates of non-belief. But they were comparatively peaceful and progressive a few decades ago when they were still more strongly Lutheran. Many more churchgoers than there are now. So Atheism is perhaps not the answer to all social ills somehow. So just to recap, 10% is not more than 50%. Atheism is not necessarily the same as rational thought. Again, the percentage of Icelanders who positively disbelieve in elves and ghosts is lower than the percentage who are convinced atheists. Different poll. Memes are fun, but not necessarily well-constructed or well-supported arguments. And skeptics shouldn't believe stuff just because it confirms their biases. And I think there might actually even be a name for that particular way of thinking.
Because we'll put it in the notes.
What?
Nothing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I missed that too. So,
Iceland.
Yeah.
Not atheist. That's takeaway. Iceland is not atheist.
It's spreading.
And what does it have to do with swimming?
Nothing.
See, that's the biggest myth I find in this picture.
It's that you can actually.
Is that everyone in Iceland is swimming.
They're not swimming.
They're all standing in hot water in the wild.
I assume, I'm not sure, but I assume that has to be Blue Lagoon, which is basically it's runoff from a geothermal plant.
Oh, so okay. So that's the benefit of Iceland. Iceland, you can play in the runoff of your power plants. If you try to do that in this country, it would be bad.
Looks really
it's minerals. It's supposed to be healthy, but they do that. They have a lot of hot springs and things like that. And actually, they are big into swimming, not in the ocean because you die, but they have a lot of pools and they have a lot of hot springs.
Yeah. So in this country, if you play in the runoff from a power plant, it's either sulfuric acid or nuclear something or other.
Yeah.
And filled with three-eyed fish.
Yeah, so it would not be fun.
Well, in Iceland, it's just warm water.
Yes, so there you go. Iceland's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All the atheists need to go there. No, that's not the right takeaway.
That's not the takeaway.
Apparently we do because they're not.
You don't learn lessons well, do you?
Swimming.
Yay, swimming.
Yay, swimming. I've been waiting the entire episode for this story that's coming up next, which is kind of related to swimming. No. And that is Barb's story. And I need to know. I need to know whether or not I need to stop eating bacon. Which would be really hard for me. I'm just saying.
Well... okay, so then one of the news of the last couple of weeks has been this statement. Most people heard it through the World Health Organization. It was basically put out by the International Agency for Research on Cancer, the IARC.
Big vegan influenced them.
Well, they reviewed about 800 studies, and they concluded that the evidence linking processed and red meats to certain types of cancers is overwhelming. And they classified processed meats as cancer-causing and red meats as probably cancer-causing.
Okay, when you say processed, what do you mean by processed?
Oh, things like hot dogs, salami.
Scrapple?
Huh?
Spam? Scrapple?
Probably, yeah, probably.
Spam?
Probably.
They haven't even declared that meat, really, so...
Spam is meat. It's short for spiced ham.
Here's the skinny.
But scrapple is not, so...
Yes, the evidence is pretty clear that consumption of these meats increases cancer risk. But let's look at how much, okay? There's some problems with this, with the way people reacted to this. For one thing, they report it with this increased risk of those who consume most processed meats are 16 to 17% more likely to get colon cancer than those who consume the least. Okay, so what they found is that those who consume the most are more likely to get cancer, and specific types of cancer, than those who consume the least.
Okay, I'm following you.
5 people are going to get cancer. That's not, it's a relative risk increase. So looking at the numbers, the post that I linked to in the show notes was really good and really thorough and brought up, I think, most of the points that are important. They looked at reports in the UK. So if you bring up the first slide.
Okay.
People who consume the most processed meats, out of 1,000 of those people, 66% will get, on average, 66% of them will probably get colon cancer.
So practically it's, I know this is just a statistic, but 66 people out of 1,000 people.
Out of 1,000 will get it.
The highest...
Of the people that eat the most, of the people that consume the most processed meats.
Okay, so this is a subset of all the population of people that just consume the most.
On average, 61 people out of 1,000 will get it.
Okay.
But if you break it down and you divide it between people who eat the highest amount of processed meats and then people who eat the lowest amount of processed meats, which would probably be none, the people in the lowest consumption group, 56% or 56 out of 1,000 people are going to get it.
So those vegans will get it too.
Yes.
Okay. Ha, vegans, ha ha.
Okay. So
I'm just making that clear.
56 people out of 1,000 who don't eat red meat are going to get it anyway. 66 out of 1,000 who eat the most are going to get it. And this is okay. So if people stopped eating red meats altogether, you're going to get, I think, what's on the next slide. You're going to save that many people from getting cancer. Okay.
That's 10 out of 1,000.
10 people out of 1,000.
Yeah.
In contrast, if you look at something like smoking, okay, if people stop smoking, around 150 out of 1,000 are not going to get cancer. Okay, so smoking is going to kill you, but red meats and processed meats, it's a matter of degrees. We're talking about So it is a cause, but remember probably a couple of years ago now, or a year ago or so, when I spoke on this podcast about causes, when I talked about INUS conditions, so without going into the whole details about that, things that are called causes are not always going to cause something. And things that are called causes are not necessarily the things that will always cause the effect. Okay? Mm-hmm. A good analogy is if you throw a lit cigarette out of a car window. You do that 100 times. You do it 1,000 times, and one of those times may be a catalyst for a forest fire, but it's not a guarantee. And you're not going to prevent all forest fires by avoiding throwing your lit cigarette out of a window. That said, don't smoke because you don't need to.
Because you'll start a forest fire.
Because you'll start a forest fire and you'll probably die of cancer. And so anyway, the article uses a good banana skin analogy. They said, yes, you might slip on a banana skin and become injured or even die, but the risk is pretty low unless you work in a banana processing plant. And even then, the harm caused is generally much lower than, say, a car accident. So if you bring up the next slide, I don't remember what I put there. Okay, so this is the proportion of people who will not get cancer if they stop smoking. So out of 1,000 people who smoke,
so
who stop smoking,
that one is the meat and that is the smoking.
Right. And that's like all cancers. And besides which, the colorectal cancers, the cancers that they're talking about, are only like 3% of cancers. So it's
Yeah,
we're talking about
actually,
a small risk of cancer and a small number of types of cancers that are. So I think the bottom line here is that none of us should be eating
Bottom line.
processed meats.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
We should not be eating processed and red meats at every meal. And we certainly should not, but we shouldn't be afraid to enjoy them in moderation. So I would say eat your bacon. Just do not make bacon the only thing that you eat.
yes.
And if
No.
you do,
Damn it.
don't make it. You don't worry too terribly much about it.
Yeah, because worrying will kill you. So it's another one of those things where it's not wrong, but it's misleading the public. Red
Yes.
meats are not great for you, but they're not so bad for you. It's like we used to think that
Okay.
eggs were like causing our cholesterol to go out of whack and totally out of whack. And truth is, it's somewhere in between, just like everything else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the way that I saw it is bacon is as bad as smoking.
Yeah,
And that's how it was unbelievable
Yeah,
how many people
I've
said
actually heard wording or saw wording on the internet that was very similar to that.
Yeah.
And that makes
One of the
sense
things
to me, so.
that they didn't actually get across in all the reports of this is that this group, the IARC, their job is to identify causes. So they're identifying it as a cause or a probable cause, but they're not, just because it's a cause, their job isn't to tell you how much cancer it causes.
Right.
Or how bad it is. It's just a cause. And when you think about all the possible causes for things, we're always needling down, we're always isolating things to figure out what causes what. But we also have to consider, when we bring that back into the real world and we start to apply it, we have to consider the relative risks of the things that we do. It's just like, flying on an airplane is a cause of dying in an airplane crash. But that doesn't mean you should never fly.
Apparently they pipe nitrogen into those things, so.
Yeah.
There you go.
Nah. Well, okay, so when I first heard the story, my first thoughts in my head, because I was trying to figure out what this means to me, because I'm a meat eater. Well, I mean, in practical sense, if I understand how it affects me, then I can understand how it affects my kids, or it affects other people in my family, or people I care about, who I don't want to die of cancer. So, what I'd really like to know is to somehow be able to relate this risk to other risks that I know about, but I can't do anything about. Like, I live close to a coal-fired power plant.
Yeah.
I live close to a metropolitan area. I live close to lots of things that will give me cancer, or at least increase my cancer risk based to someone who lives in the middle of nowhere or lives somewhere where the air is better. Those kinds of things. So if my consumption of bacon is worse than the motivation for me to move, maybe I should do something about it. If it's not, I'm going to die the way I'm going to die anyway.
Yeah, I try to think of it as in terms of trade-offs. So
Yeah.
the reason that it's important to me, because a lot of people will just come back with, well, why bother to eat the bacon at all if you know that it's even going to cause, you even have a 0.1% chance of it giving you cancer, because you know that it does give cancer.
Bacon.
Well, because it's bacon, yeah.
It's the candy of
quality
meats.
of life issue. But there's more to it than that. The things that we do to then avoid getting cancer cause cancer. We just we haven't identified all of them yet. It's sort of like, it's funny because a Facebook friend had posted 2 competing articles about e-cigarettes today, and it made me think. One of them was talking about how they help people quit smoking. Yeah, but do you really call it quitting smoking if you're still using the e-cigarette? I don't. But the other one was about how e-cigarettes have more carcinogens in them than cigarettes do. So the things that you're now doing to avoid the cancer could be cancer causing themselves. Maybe you're eating more beans. Well, if you're eating beans that are canned, then they have preservatives in them too. And the preservatives, part of the reason why processed meats cause cancer is because of some of the chemicals that are in the preservatives that are used to cure the meat.
Yep.
And so I don't know that you're actually taking a step up there, especially when you're talking about such a small change in risk. So it's worth thinking about that.
But it's worth quitting smoking, right? It's worth quitting
It's
smoking.
definitely worth quitting smoking. We have
It's-
shitloads of data on that.
Yeah, smoking is.
And
is a
not
pretty
picking up the chew as a or even e-cigarettes as a substitute. Just freaking quit it.
And not eating radioactive material is a good thing as well.
Probably.
And
I would think
a lot of chemicals that we probably know are things we should not be exposed to, and
Brian, you don't have to worry because you're going to be murdered by space robots.
Oh, that's right, you are.
No,
because you're closer to them than the rest of us.
No, it's pretty clear. I may be murdered by space robots, but I'm going to live longer than you guys. So.
Why? Because your beard will protect you?
No, they'll need me around to affect repairs.
Oh, that's what you think.
Yeah. No way.
No, I think you're going to be the first. I think you're going to be.
Yeah.
Because you know what weakness is.
They will.
It
really depends.
They want to destroy the evidence that they didn't create themselves.
See, that's not going to be important to them. They don't care about belief systems and whether or not that.
You know what?
They're just gonna consider me a threat.
I think
if they can neutralize me
to say
somehow.
what I was going to say. What were you going to say, Eve?
They're just going to be pissed off that you think they know what they're thinking.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. See, we're right. Yep.
They might be robots because they have
clearly. I don't have to worry about any of my cancer risks because I'm going to die. By robot.
Yep.
Either that, or you'll be,
that actually gives me some solace.
You'll be your face will be Ralph to death by adoring females rubbing up against your immaculate beard and mustachios.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah, me neither.
Or it'll be shown that beard oil causes cancer.
Beard oil causes cancer.
Yes.
Especially if it's bacon flavored.
The risk of beard oil cancer, is that greater or less than bacon?
Massive.
Because there's a quality of life here thing I have to concern about with. But, okay.
That's some serious number crunching to find that one out.
I don't think it's going to be significant. Now, the other thing I forgot to mention at the beginning of the show was the videos behind me. If you can figure them out, great. One person tried so far. Nobody ever tried. So.
No clue this time.
No clue. There's words right there. Do you see the words?
Yeah, I know, but I can't. I see words.
Yeah, there's two splotchy. I can't read them either. It's been pretty clear they're both by one.
I think I know what that one is. I think I know what the one on my right is. Yeah. I think I do.
So let me run through the questions that are on the Q&A app really quick. First up, we have Steve Exton answered, if you don't eat red meat, does it cause other health problems? Because that was specific to what you were talking about. Yeah.
It depends on what you substitute with.
Yeah, I mean, that was the point. Is that it depends on what you substitute with, whether you get your protein from somewhere else or whether, So the point is that it's complicated, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Also, moderation.
Moderation. We probably, in this country, we probably eat too much red meat.
You know what? When I was planning to do this, I was going to do this story before I found out that you were going to do it, and I was just going to have a plate. So I was going to have a plate of bacon and eat the bacon while we're talking about the cancer risk because it's fucking bacon and it's great.
And you would have been ripped apart by
cats. Yeah.
Who wanted the
Yeah,
bacon.
that's true.
Did you have anything to add to what I said, Bob?
Not particularly. He was
going to have bacon.
I was going to add bacon.
Yes,
just add bacon.
Add bacon, which
one of the things that they found is like the overwhelming number of substances that this group studied had ended up in there was only one out of like 400 that wasn't somehow like at least a possible cancer risk. The only substance that they found it's an ingredient in yoga pants.
because we all eat yoga pants.
Well, what a veiny Harry does.
Yeah.
Those are yoga mats. Oh well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vani Hari.
The thing about
No.
there was a
Boob.
yoga mat ingredient in Subway bread.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then. Moving right along. Mark Price has a question. As silly as it seems, doesn't this take care of the real last mile delivery issue? I am not completely familiar with the last mile delivery issue. I know there's a last mile internet service issue, but that's a completely different story. We've used delivery with humans and cars for long periods of time. I guess it would probably put a lot of delivery people out of business. I don't know, but it's a good question and something that needs to be considered when you do automatic delivery. Blah blah blah. Thank you very much, Mark, for that question. Next question, Pierre Cloutier, which I love saying his name. Wasn't Iceland really violent centuries ago? I just read the sagas. Yes. And I think we covered that.
Indeed, they
Yes.
are.
Also, there were lots of undead walking around.
That's
Yes,
true.
Lots of
According to
undead.
sagas.
Yes. Okay. The next two are actually not questions, although one's in the form of a question, which I thank you, Jeopardy, for that. But let's go on to the
That's
trivia
a
question.
vocal fry. That was a hell of a vocal fry.
Wasn't it? A vocal fry? The trivia question was, I'm going to repeat it, because nobody tweeted it. Did anybody tweet it? No, nobody tweeted it. I forgot, and Tim is not here.
Can I guess?
What?
No.
I need to repeat the question first,
Okay.
because it has to be done in this accent. 40 years ago, that's terrible, I'm going to give it up. November 5th, 1975 was the date of an alleged alien abduction of what person? And now, before you answer, there were some guesses on the Twitters that it was the Hills. No, it was not the Hills. And Benny and Barty Hill, which is a very, very famous abduction story. Bob, what's your guess?
Whitley Strieber.
Well, Whitley Strieber?
Guy who wrote Communion.
Oh, no. That was much later, wasn't it? Wasn't it in the 80s?
I don't know.
Yeah. The Hills were earlier.
Yeah, they were
I was
63
gonna guess
or
the
something.
Hills.
Those
Yeah,
early
the Hills
60s.
were earlier, and I think that was what was in the 80s. The one that I have here on my notes, because I'm not that familiar with this story, beyond the TV adaptation of it called Fire in the Sky, which was done in '93, Travis Walton.
Oh, those guys.
Yeah. And the question on the Q&A app from Pierre Cloutier, which came in before anyone else on Twitter answered, which I'm going to tag right now, was Travis? And I think that's close enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, thank you, Pierre Cloutier. You are awesome. Very clever. Also, Pierre Cloutier, which I'm going to say that a bunch of times, guessed the never-ending story for the videos behind me.
That's the one I got.
Which, yes,
Oh.
and that is both of them.
Yeah.
Although
Both of them. The
one
other one
is
was
the
two?
first one, and the
Wow,
other
it
one
is
is the
really
second one.
never ending.
I saw
Yes.
the 2 at the end, but I didn't know if it... Oh, now I see it. Now I can see what the animal is there, yeah. Okay.
Yes, the lovely, annoying luck dragon thing. Some of the best and worst puppetry and stop-motion animation in any movie is in both of those.
Yeah, I couldn't follow that movie. I couldn't stick with it.
Yeah.
I got
well,
20
the
minutes into
first
it and
one-
fall asleep.
The
Yeah.
first one is, it's either Bambi or the never-ending story, the first one, that is responsible for adding depression to many, many, many children's lives.
Childhood list of diseases.
Yes, it's so. Yeah, between
Well,
between
I wasn't a
Atreus'
child
horse
either
being
when it came out.
sucked into the swamp, and Bambi's mom.
You
dying
know, it's
from
killed
hunger.
by sadness.
Yes, it was killed by sadness. Yep,
Life is pain.
life is pain. Anyone who tells you differently is selling
He's
something.
selling something.
So, thank you all for playing. What we have
Hey, have you
next-
read...
What?
Sorry, I'll catch you after the show.
Go. Oh, okay. We got one more thing. We're gonna do the book time, and then we have any announcements? No announcements this week, and nobody's doing anything in the winter. I guess the winter is just dull for everyone. I know that they've announced dates for Nexus.
I should announce.
Go
Just
ahead.
want to mention that on the 19th, for all of our viewers in Austin, on the 19th, Brzezinski is going on trial there.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Get out there and cause a stink.
Mm.
Cause a stink for that motherfucker. Excuse me. So if you know what Nexus is a conference, Northeast Conference of Science and Skepticism. It's in New York. It's been announced that it's going to be, let's see, April 10th, the weekend of April 10th. Bill Nye's going to be there, of other people.
Bill Nye's
George.
gonna be there?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, he's been announced. Go to the site necss.org, necsis.org, as George Schrabb likes to say, and check out the speakers. And I think you can get your tickets already, and they have cheap hotels announced, which is cheap for Manhattan. But hey, it's a cool thing. I'm not sure if I'm going to be there this year. I think it might coincide with spring break, so I might be in Florida. But it's a great conference. If you're anywhere near the East Coast, go tell Mike Feldman I said hi. He's awesome.
He is.
Enjoy the thing.
Really like
and the thing. Anything else? No? Okay. Now it is the time we do the book thing. You want to go first, Barbara?
Sure. In scientific writing, sound organizational structure is the key to clear, precise, and logical communication. This includes the use of headings to effectively organize ideas within a study, as well as seriation to highlight important items within sections. Concise headings help the reader anticipate key points and track the development of your argument.
Very good advice. Eve, go.
From 1118 through the 1300s, medieval Icelanders produced prose works at an enormous rate. Measured against the handful of medieval Norwegian texts we have, Iceland's literary output was prodigious. First came a law book, next a history of the island, commissioned by Iceland's two bishops. After this Book of Icelanders came Chronicles of the Kings of Norway and Denmark and the Earls of Orkney, stories of Iceland's first settlers, treatises on grammar, astronomy, medicine, poetics, mythology, annals, saints' lives, sermons, and collections of miracles, biographies of bishops, and the history of Christianity in the country, translations of Bede's, Isidore Seville, Sallust, Luciodorus, Physiologus, St. Gregory's Dialogues, the prophecies of Merlin, romances and fantastical tales of trolls and dragons, werewolves and sorcerers, stories of Greenland, of Viking raids, of voyages to Constantinople or to the New World, of famous feuds and love affairs of poets and outlaws, even a guide to the Holy Land. More medieval literature exists in Iceland than in any other European language except Latin.
Wow. Okay, Bob, what's yours?
Our partial defense of conspiracy theorists and qualified critique of conspiracy debunkers is not entertained for the purposes of developing a kind of groundwork for the metaphysics of madness. Thank goodness. In an effort to put everyone offside, some may now be disappointed that we are not about to endorse claims that the 69 Apollo moon landing was fake, that giant shape-shifting reptiles live in the center of the Earth, and that Marilyn Monroe was killed by a barbiturate enema wielded by mafia hitmen in cahoots with Robert F. Kennedy and J. Edgar Hoover, most likely because she knew the real truth about UFOs and the White House whitewash. I can't believe that I was able to say that today.
Wow. That was a lot
and
into one paragraph.
It really was, so I'm not going to, tempt my luck. I'm done with that one.
Okay. Mine's a short quote. Time after time, history demonstrates that when people don't want to believe something, they have an enormous skills of ignoring it altogether. There you go. What's your book, Barbara?
Mine is the outdated 6th edition of the APA Publication Manual.
Of
Using
course.
it as
How much
mouse
fun is
pad,
that?
Wow, that's some entertaining reading.
My little tabs for when you teach it, you have to be able to
It's annotated.
Yeah.
Nicely annotated. Eve, what's yours?
The Mystery of the Most Famous Chessmen in the World and the Woman Who Made Them, Ivory Vikings. Not a good book. Well, interesting book. Horrible, horrible argument.
Okay.
Mine is Lane and Fleming's Modern Conspiracy: The Importance of Being Paranoid, and you will see that the recommendations down here, they have Leah Remini down here.
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
something that I'm pretty sure that this is far right propaganda,
Uh-huh.
and Amazon should be ashamed for selling it, but and then trying to push it on my phone, you bastards.
You bastards. Now, okay, so I have been obsessively rereading and reading because I originally only read the first 2 books, but now I'm up to, I think it's the 7th book of the Dresden
Boys?
Files series, which is by a guy named Jim Butcher. It's a great series.
That has been recommended to me many times, and I've never picked it up.
Something's wrong with your mic, Barb. I don't know.
You're not hearing me?
You sound like a Dalek or a robot. Oh my God, the robots have taken Barb.
Exterminate. Sorry.
The Daleks look like people now, by the way.
And now Bob sounds like it too. Maybe it's my machine.
Cylon?
It's you. I'm not hearing.
Yeah, it's me.
Did
okay,
you
I'm
hear
not
what I
doing
said?
Guys, while I get this out. No. Okay, so there's the book cover. It's a very interesting series about, and it's done in the style of a detective series, but he is a wizard. And he's got a very well defined universe of magic, and the books are very entertaining and kind of crazy and fun, and it's a great series. I love it, and he's still writing them. Can you believe that? He's still writing them, and they still take place in a world where there are no cell phones, which is bizarre. Yeah. Yep. But fun.
So dystopian.
You like that kind of thing.
So dystopian novels.
No. This is just, it's supposed to be a time before there were cell phones. It started out, computers are young, and yeah, so it's just, a lot of them are old books. They started writing them in the 80s, I think. Yeah, good series, wonderful series. Check it out. And I think that is that. Is that?
That's that.
That is that. I
It
think
might be.
that is that because I can't understand anything you guys are saying, and I'm going to just go ahead running and screaming because I think the robots have now taken over the world. Thank you, everyone, for watching and contributing and finding us remotely entertaining, which, thank you. And we're going to dance. I swear this time we are definitely going to dance.
I dance every time.
Yeah? Cool. There's the music. There's the logo. The Virtual Skeptics is an independent production of What's the Harm.net, Skeptic Humanities, myself, ICBS Everywhere, and Doubtful News. Our logo was designed by Sarah Mayhew at sarahmayhew.com, and our theme music is by Musicant and used with permission. And Bob is rocking that bitch. Thanks for watching.